hope that you're all doing alright. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if it's your first time here. Today we're building a tiny cottage in, what's the world called again? Henford-on-Bagley. That's the world that we got with Cottage living. I feel like I've not built a cottage for ages, like a proper traditional style cottage with the cottage living pack and everything. How many times have I said cottage so far? But I've really moved to build one, and I might have a little build series in mind actually, which were brought on by this video, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, I built this house in Henford-on-Bagley, and I used some build inspiration from Pinterest like I typically do, but this were actually like a little model thing. It weren't like a painting or a photograph or a digital rendering on a real estate website. It was like a model type thing. I'll put the picture of it on screen now. And I just thought it looked really cool. I thought, oh, I like that. I wonder if I could build it in The Sims. It was very tricky. I knew I wanted to build a tiny house, so I was trying to make sure that it stayed within the tiny house like requirements. So if you have tiny living, this will be a tier 3 tiny house. So you should get some like boost to whatever you get with tier 3 tiny houses. I can't remember what all the boosts are, but normally to each tier you get like a boost to skill building or relationships or mood or whatever it is. But yeah, it's a tier 3 tiny house, and obviously if you don't have tiny living, then I don't think you have access to the tiny residential lot that came with that pack. But either way, it's a small house, and yeah, I really enjoyed building this one, although it were a little bit stressful because I did change it a little bit. Obviously it doesn't look exactly like the picture with the colour scheme and everything, or I guess it looks like it with the colour scheme, but there were a couple of things that I changed, and even still, like the final result, I think I changed the bottom wallpaper just because I thought it was looking a little bit grey. The lighting in Henford-on-Bagley is got a very like green tinge to it, so it tends to make things look a bit like cool toned when it's maybe not meant to be. But yeah, it's one of those things you can't really do about it. But I did end up changing a couple of things on the exterior, but not loads. But I just wanted a small little cottage, 2 stories, but like the upper part be like an attic type thing. So initially when I was building it, I had my partner help me because it started off a little bit different to this. I had some like weird roof parts. You'll see on the picture that the roof like goes quite high up on the left hand side, and that just didn't look right in The Sims because the roofs are like the slanted roof. It was showing like some wallpaper, and it just didn't look right, and my partner agreed, and we're just like, I think you should change that. And I was getting really stressed out because I was like, oh, I don't know how to do it, I don't know what I want to do with the roof. But in the end I think it turned out quite nice, and I liked the layout and everything. It's a little bit of a weird house. The living room's upstairs, but I put it upstairs because initially I was going to do the bedroom upstairs, but the chimney is on the left hand side of the house, so I thought the fireplace being in the living room would be better on the left side of the house, but I wanted the kitchen on the bottom like floor on the left side. So it's a bit of a weird floor plan, but I don't think it matters that much. Maybe the people that live here just want to have the living room upstairs, like why not? I mean, it's The Sims. There's certain things that are a bit unusual compared to real life. I mean, for God's sake, there's cow plants. So yeah, they don't do everything traditional and like perfect and whatever else like they do in real life, do they? It's not that sort of game. But yeah, that's my justification for it, is that it's The Sims. It's a bit wacky, it's a bit weird, and sometimes they have upstairs living rooms and a downstairs bedroom, like why not? But yeah, I went with like a darker colour scheme. This sort of colour scheme for some reason with like the trees and everything, and in Henford-on-Bagley, something about it reminds me of pie and peas, which is a common like food that we eat in England, like a steak pie with like peas or whatever. Don't know why, such like a weird association, I guess, but I don't know what it is. I think it's just like the brown and the green, and it's just that sort of colour. It's got that rustic vibe to it. I don't know, I'm not going to try and explain that one. We had pie yesterday for tea actually, but burnt it by accident. It were alright, it weren't like ruined, but it was just a little bit well done for my liking. But bit of gravy, sorted it out. But yeah, I spent quite a lot of time on the landscaping. I would say maybe like 40%, 30% of the video is gardening, landscaping, whatever you want to call it, putting down trees and like plants and everything. But it is a tiny house, obviously the interior didn't take that much time and stuff. But I do really like how the interior turned out, which we'll get on to soon. But yeah, for the front garden and everything, I put that little bike out front, which you'll only have access to if you pre-ordered Cottage Living, I believe, like ages ago. If you don't have that bike and you didn't pre-order Cottage Living, that bike will just like disappear, I think, so it's not a big deal. I mainly used it for decoration. I normally do with that bike. I don't normally, like, my Sims don't really use bikes when I play the game. I tend to just like teleport around the map, to be fair. But yeah, and I also wanted to have like the path going up the side. I think the build that's originally here, I think off the top of my head, it's got a similar sort of thing, like it's got a path that leads around the side, and I quite liked how it looked, so I thought, oh, I want to do something like that. I think I have a thing with cottages where I want to like over landscape it and put plants all the way around like the base of the house, but I thought it looked better without that, and it's just got like a clear path. But yeah, like I said, I like how it turned out. It looks quite rustic, it's a little bit overgrown, but not like too overgrown. I don't know, I think it's like the perfect balance of a bit tidy, a bit like natural, you know what I mean, with the plants and everything. And then for the floor plan, quite basic really. Initially when I would like practicing the floor plan or like coming up with it, planning it, whatever you want to call it, I had the upstairs part more of like a loft rather than upstairs, so I put down the ladders, and I didn't like it. I thought it kind of ruined the vibe of the house. I wanted a proper staircase, so it took a lot of effort getting everything in the right place, and I wanted like a kitchen dining room, but it was just a bit difficult. Obviously it's a tiny house, so once you've like built it, you can't really add any more tiles, and I didn't want to change the shape of the house. There is a few tiles left, so this house is about 100 tiles. I think it's about 92 exactly, but obviously that leaves 8 more tiles that I could add. But when I made it a little bit wider, it just made the build look like weird, so I thought, oh, I'm not doing that, I'll just leave it. So I had limited space with it being a tiny house, but I do quite like the layout in the end, and I think everything fits in like quite nice, and it looks like a cottage, and it's got like quite a cluttered, cozy feel to it. Especially the bedroom. I really like how the bedroom turned. In fact, all the rooms, to be fair. I also showed the bathroom because I just thought, why not? It's a tiny house, might as well show it. And yeah, this is the kitchen. Started off with yellow swatches. I were going to go with a completely different vibe to begin with. I thought, why don't we have like a colourful interior and go with like yellow and like blue and pinks and stuff, but that ended up changing when I put down, I think it was the cooker. I think I would mess about with the cooker. The yellow just didn't look right with like the dark wood flooring. I think if I were going to go with yellow, I would have gone with light wood flooring maybe, and like light wood fixtures, so like the doors, the staircase, whatever else. But yeah, the yellow just, it didn't look right, and I ended up going with the dark brown swatch of the cabinets and then like blue accents, which I thought it looked really nice. I quite like what I did with the upper cabinets, and yeah, it just gave me like a proper grandma type feel to the house, and like the layout of the kitchen and stuff. Got enough like clutter to play around with, but then there's also space because there isn't actually like that much counter space. Sims will use that corner counter to cook on. They should use the one at the side of the sink that's got a plant on it, because those items are floating. But when I play tested it, when the Sim were cooking, I think they did it in the corner, if I remember correctly. But either way, it's functional. I have play tested it and everything works, so your Sims can access everything that they need to. I didn't put down a coffee maker or like that, just because I was a bit worried about its like functionality, like where would I have put it and stuff. But yeah, I quite like what the kitchen ended up looking like. I think I used the wrong swatch though for that overhead fan thing or ventilation thing above the cooker. I think it's a slightly off blue sort of swatch, but be right, it looks fine. And then yeah, for the dining little bit, I had to use the table that came with Cottage Living because it's got a cute little blue tablecloth with like rabbits on it and leaves and little mushroom things, and it looks proper cute. It kind of reminds me of Animal Crossing, but yeah, I really liked that. Also, speaking of Animal Crossing, well, not really, speaking of a game like Animal Crossing, I've been playing that Disney Dreamlight Valley. I don't know if I mentioned it in a video, but I think I've been wanting to talk about it for ages. I've essentially completed it up to now. It's like in early access, beta, whatever. But I think maybe it's getting an official release like this month or something like that. I can't remember. I don't keep up to date with all the news for it, but I've been playing it. I've got it on Switch, and it's a lot of fun actually. But I've done all the quests on it, so I've not been playing it recently. But if you see it and you're into Animal Crossing and you're like into Disney, then you might enjoy it. It's pretty good. It is a lot of like grinding, you know, like if you need iron, you've got to go around and get a bunch of iron. If you need a certain fish, you've got to like go back, get that. I'm not like a proper massive Disney fan. It's alright. I wouldn't say I'm like a Disney adult. I'm not at like that sort of status. There's a few Disney things that I like. I used to be obsessed with Little Mermaid when I was a kid. And there's a Little Mermaid in it actually. But honestly, I think I just avoid it. I don't walk around with her or like that. So I'm not that obsessed with her anymore, obviously, but I do like a couple of things. Like I like Lilo and Stitch and Stitches on it. But I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm like a Disney fan, you know what I mean? So you don't have to be into Disney to enjoy it, because I don't really care that much about Disney. And there's a lot of like references in it. Not references, but there's like certain furniture styles from different films where I wouldn't be able to tell you what film it's from if it didn't have a label on it. You know what I mean? Like it's not for like hardcore Disney fans is the point I'm trying to make. But yeah, I'm just doing the sort of like entrance bit to the house now. It's a little bit of like an awkward space this, because it's got some like diagonal wall, and then you've got the stairs, and then you've got like 2 doors, so you can't really like do too much with decorating it and that. So I just used the coat rack thingy from Seasons, and then I went on to do the living room bit. I think that's the next room that I did. Again, a little bit of like an awkward room. Layout's a little bit dodgy, I think it makes sense like to play in and stuff, but obviously you've got that staircase like right behind where you'd be sitting watching telly, looking at the fire or whatever. But I think it looks alright. It does look very cozy in my opinion. Also, I didn't mention what packs I used. So I used Cottage Living, obviously. What else? I never write it down, I never learn, but I'll probably put it in the description. I feel like though there's been a few times where I've said I'll pop it in the description, and then it goes out of my head because, you know, as I'm talking I've put that out there, like, and it's gone, you know what I mean? So I've made it a problem for future Hutch, and current Hutch is like, right, I've said I'll put it in description, I'll do that. But then I think there's been a few times where I haven't, so yeah, sorry about that, but I will definitely put it in. In fact, I'm going to write it down right now. Right, I've wrote that in my notes, probably never going to read that, but no, I will. I'll put it in the description. But off the top of my head, I use Cottage Living, Seasons, Get Together. Yeah, I use Get Together. Parenthood, maybe. Or maybe I got rid of the Parenthood one. There was something that I used from Parenthood and I might have... Oh, I used Outdoor Retreat because... Oh my god, let me start again. So, Cottage Living, Get Together, Seasons, Discover University. Neil choked on the air in my gob then. Yeah, Discover University. I used Outdoor Retreat purely for the little planter boxes that I've put out front. And I think that's it. But like I said, I'll put the full details in the description of what I used. I'm like looking at it as it's building and I'm like, do I recognise anything from a certain pack? Is there anything that I've like missed out? But I think that's it. And yeah, then this is the bedroom. I really enjoyed doing this one. The layout was a little bit awkward. It looks a bit cramped, but it is functional. And at the end, I actually, well, when I was playtesting, I had Mass himself create some like cross stitch things. And I've put a couple of them up, which you'll see in the screenshots. So I really like doing that. It's like a nice little decorative thing, you know, to just add to your builds, especially in like cottage builds. I think they suit really well. Or to add in like kids' bedrooms, they look proper cute. But yeah, and then I went with like some pink peachy accents in this one just to try and like match the wallpaper. And that wallpaper's base game. I don't think I would ever use it if it weren't for cottages. I don't use it all the time, to be fair. I tend to use the one that actually came with the pack. But I thought it suited quite well. I think it does suit smaller rooms. I think if you put a wallpaper like that in a massive room, it just looks a little bit too much. But yeah. So I wanted to mention this build idea, build series, video idea, whatever that I've got. So I always come across these like model cottage things the like ornaments or things that you make, like the one that I've based this build on. And there were a couple that I looked at and I thought, oh, that looks like I could build that out of like stuff from Cats and Dogs, or that looks like stuff from Get Together, or that looks like stuff from Seasons, whatever. So I was looking at a few of them and I thought, oh, what would actually be nice, because I enjoy building cottages so much, like they're one of my favourite things to build. Love cluttering them, love doing the whole thing, like exterior, interior. I just really like them. I thought I could do a series where I base a build off those little models, but do it like a one pack sort of thing. So do a cottage made with base game and Cats and Dogs, or a cottage with base game and, I don't know, vampires or something like that. Maybe not vampires, but either way, I could do it like that. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably start that soon, but I don't want to like have too much going on at once, because obviously I'm doing my save file. I've got other video ideas that I want to do. I wanted to do like a pack review thing. Like I've got a lot of things that I wanted to do. So I don't want to like overload myself with a million ideas, because I'll end up just giving up on them all. So I think what I'll do is I'll do some sort of cottage building series, maybe towards the end of when my save file will be ready. Well, at least the part where I'm building Willow Creek anyway, because I'm gonna, after I've done Willow Creek, I think I'm gonna release that as a save file, and then I'm gonna move on to doing Oasis Springs and potentially Newcrest. So then I'll have a fully base game save file like ready for everybody that wants to download it. But yeah, I wanted to mention that, and let me know if you think it's a good idea. So in short, I want to do a cottage building series where it's just one pack and base game. Obviously some packs are not really going to suit that, so like I said before, vampires, maybe you couldn't do it with vampires, but then again you could have like a vampire cottage or a cottage for a vampire. And like Journey to Batu, that's not really going to suit a cottage vibe, you know what I mean? And I don't want to use that pack anyway, so I'll not do it with every single pack. So I don't know how long the series would be. Maybe I could focus it more on expansion packs or something like that, but we'll see what happens. And yeah, I'd love to know your opinion on that, and I'll probably do a community poll, so if you want to vote on any sort of poll, then feel free to have a look on the community tab. And yeah, and then this is just obviously doing the back garden. Changed the shape of the fencing and stuff, well, like the brick fence, whatever you want to call it, brick wall, just to give it a bit more dimension, make it look a bit different rather than just being like a big square around the build. And the back garden is quite small, and it's obviously like it wraps around the side of the house, so I wanted to separate it off with a fence. And I really like the sort of separation between the front and back, because it's got like a brick, like cobblestone type fence all around the house, but then using a wooden fence to kind of separate it with a gate and everything. I don't know, there was something about it that I liked. And yeah, it's just a basic back garden, there isn't a ton of room. I also put some flower arranging things on the back porch and some decorative stuff, some little planter boxes, the ones from Outdoor Retreat, and then I put down some more planter boxes. A very garden focused sim that lives here, I imagine. Or maybe they grow their own veg or something like that, seeing as it is like a farming sort of world. And then I put down a little barbecue as well, because I could fit one. And that's really about it for the back garden. The rest of it is just like landscaping and that. So yeah, I'm going to end off the voiceover here and wrap up the video and everything. If you want to stick around till the end to watch the screenshots, you can, obviously. I mean, you can rewind the whole video and watch it again if you want. You can do what you want, but yeah. Anyway, if you want to download this build, my gallery ID is HutchPlays. It will be available on the gallery straight away. Sometimes I don't upload it because I forget, but it will be up as you're watching this. And yeah, don't forget, I'm also doing build requests. So if you want to fill in a build request form, that'll be in the description as well. If you want me to build you something, it's there, where you can choose like your packs, how many bedrooms, how many sims, all the rest of it, what style of house, whatever. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you all have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week. Next video should be up on Friday, but I have not started recording it yet, so feel free to comment any video ideas or build ideas. In fact, I'm going to do a build submission. But yeah, I hope that you all have a good rest of your day and have a good rest of your week, and my next video will be up on Friday, so hopefully I'll see you then. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!